Hey, Life Center, just taking a little bit of time here for what we're calling Marriage Mondays. And we've been married now.
We just celebrated 17 years of marriage.
17 years!
Crazy. We're not that old. We
I'm
were
not
like
that
10
old.
when we got married.
We were 10. I feel like we were 10. Hey, we're literally sitting out on our porch. It's cold outside. We're longing for the warm weather of spring. But here's what we want to share with you today. There's a few things that we've learned now in our 17 years of marriage. Some of these things we've practiced, I would say, relentlessly, intentionally, methodically. Others, we continue to try to learn how to practice them in our lives. And I would just say we'll open by acknowledging, like, we don't have a perfect marriage, because what you got to remember, people are involved in marriage and there's no perfect people. So no matter what you see on Instagram, no matter what you see on Facebook, there's no perfect, but there should be a desire to move towards better.
Yeah.
Always growing to serve one another, to love one another, especially as followers of Jesus. And that's where we're going to start. Listen, we're kind of bringing this message to anybody and everybody. But for those of you who are followers of Jesus, you're going to understand these things, I think, at an even greater level and maybe even greater appreciation. And if you're not yet a follower of Jesus, listen, that's the key to success in marriage. Yeah. And so we're gonna share a few thoughts. You want to go with number one?
Yeah. So the first thing that we came up with is serve each other. So, Jesus was our example in this. He said that he didn't come to be served, but to serve. So when we wake up in the morning and we set our intention for the day on serving our spouse, and if we both have that same common goal, I'm serving Tyler and Tyler is serving me, then it's going to make for the most healthy relationship that we can have for that day.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So sometimes we talk about this dynamic, trying to outserve the other person. Mm-hmm. If you do that, listen, there's blessing on the other side of it. It's not always comfortable. It's not always convenient. Yeah. I am not wired this way by nature. But when I do it, man, it leads to blessing. So number one, serve each other. Number two, I want to encourage you to talk and to listen. And here's the key. Don't just talk about things, talk to each other. Don't just talk about things. I think a lot of times as couples, we can get busy kind of talking about, well, how was your day? How was this? How was that? And you're kind of talking about everything else other than actually engaging in conversation with the other person. And we know that at the end of the day, healthy relationships grow through conversation. So we want to encourage you to do that. Yeah. Number three. So
number three is give grace. And there's a quote in here that was actually advice given to you when we got engaged.
That's right. Yeah.
But grace is huge because, like Tyler already said, there's no perfect people. I am not perfect. He is not perfect.
She's pretty close, let me tell you.
Well, but when our expectation is that our spouse is perfect, then when they disappoint us, we're like shocked. And really, we shouldn't be shocked because they're going to disappoint us, right? Yeah. So what is that advice that you got when you got engaged?
So best marriage advice ever. And by the way, every wedding that I've done since I've received this advice, I've actually quoted this quote. And by the way,
this is real life.
This is real life right here. We're not even going to change it. We're going to keep going. But here was the best marriage advice that I ever received. You don't always have to be right, even when you are.
Yeah.
Let me say that one more time. You don't always have to be right, even when you are. And I think that's the challenge. Sometimes we want to be right more than we want unity. Sometimes we want to be right more than we want to extend or even receive love. And so walking in that place of extending grace and giving grace is big. The next one, this is number 1, 2, 3, 4. Find out what your spouse needs. Find out what your spouse actually needs. Understand the season of life that you are in. Can I tell you right now, in the midst of COVID, I mean, you just saw it. This is, again, we're not making this up. This is real life. Every season brings different things. I love that this is happening right now. Each season of life brings different things. And Amber and I, we've had different seasons. We had a season where it was just the two of us, and man, wow, it was just the two of us. And you start adding kids to the equation, and even now, you know, navigating different realities, especially in the season of COVID. Find out what your spouse needs. Realize that needs might change with the seasons. With the seasons. Real quick, a learning lesson for me. I realized a number of years ago, it wasn't wise for me to come to Amber last minute. In other words, what I mean is when I didn't include her in my calendar and I just kind of dropped something on her, hey, by the way, tonight I'm gonna go to blah, 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 or I need to go take care of this. That wasn't a blessing for her. And what I needed to learn was realize what my spouse needed. All right, what's next?
Yep, so good. The other one is attack the issues, not each other. And some marriage advice we got, again, before we were married, is when you're having a disagreement, an argument, a fight, whatever you want to call it with your spouse. A discussion.
We call those discussions.
Yeah. So put that issue on the table and work on that issue together. Don't put your spouse on the table and attack your spouse.
Yeah.
But let's work on that issue together.
Yeah, I think that's big.
So great advice. So really disassociating your spouse is the bad guy, but working on the problem.
Or girl.
Work on the problem.
And I think with this with this idea is like calendar, spending, scheduling, like all of those things. Those are places of usually frustration or contention, right? So like your calendar, you're always busy, or you're always overspending. And so make sure that you put the issue on the table. So if the issue is the other individual's calendar, if it's how they spend, you know, maybe you need to set up a budget and create a spending plan. Yeah. We like that idea better than budget, right? A spending plan.
Yeah,
so
we both work on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this me? Is this next one me?
Yeah.
All right, next one. Don't go to bed mad. I remember after I proposed to Amber, we were having breakfast with her grandparents, the most godly people, the most loving people. I loved it. They were in their 80s and still all smoochy and kissy, and I just loved it. And we asked them, hey, what's the best advice you could give us? And they said, make the decision to never go to bed mad.
Yep.
That's big.
Great advice.
That's big. All right, last one.
All right. Pray blessing over each other daily.
Yeah.
If you're praying for each other every single day, it's really hard to stay mad at that person. So pray for them every single day. Make it a priority.
Yeah, I think that's big. You know, it's really hard to, you know, snuggle up in bed at night and like hang on to that anger if you've actually been praying for them. And so when you wake up in the morning, pray for your spouse. When you go to bed at night, pray for your spouse. If you're in the midst of a really rocky season right now, and listen, if you're in the midst of a rocky season, in the midst of being sheltered kind of in place, you're not alone. There's a lot of people that they're used to having their space with work, their space with activities, their space with life. But one of the keys is learning to pray blessing over that individual. Hey, I hope these few thoughts have been helpful for you. We want to give a special thanks to our guest appearance. That's real life. Come on, how many of you know that's real? You want to talk about a real Marriage Monday? That was not scripted. That was not planned. So anything else you want to say?
No, we can't wait until we can all gather together again in person. But until then, we love these connection points. We pray blessing over you, over your marriages, you as individuals. We love you guys. And stay healthy.
Yeah, stay healthy, stay safe.
Yep.
God bless. We'll see you soon.